That's good. It
Good
worked.
evening, everybody.
Hi, Jay.
Jay? Hello, Charles. Now I can hear you all. My husband set me up with one of these Bluetooth speaker things, and I forgot to push the button. That's why I barely could hear you all. So I'm good. Ready when you are, Jay.
Okay. Look at the agenda. So first I wanted to say this is again a special meeting, and it's a special meeting because we didn't get our calendar of meetings in for the year on time, and that had to be in for 30 days before we could have regular meetings. But it doesn't really make a difference for us. We're on the regular meeting time.
Okay.
And it just means we can't introduce any unplanned new business and do something with it.
Okay.
So
I was going to ask you why it said special meeting on the agenda, so now that makes sense.
that's why it says special meeting, and there was a special meeting notice to the town clerk. Next month should be a regular meeting. Next month, we would be planning to do the special purpose moorings next month. So that's our March thing. So call the meeting to order and review the minutes from the last meeting.
We have to go around and say who's on.
Yeah, so let's do a roll call here.
Okay, we'll start with Bruce A.
Bruce A. here.
Melanie Degler, secretary.
Jesse Dix.
Here.
Bruce McKinnon.
Paul O'Neill.
Jay Spalding.
Joe Williams.
Eric Donch.
Charles.
Charles Estabrooks.
And
Caleb Rose.
Yes,
Caleb
Caleb Rose. I have my video stuck on my wife's background. I don't know how to switch it.
it's nice. You can leave it there. That's good.
Yeah.
This
Like
is the new
swimming
boat that's
motions
coming
every
into
now and then.
Stonington Harbor. Good to see you all.
Okay.
We don't have any guests on, Jay.
Okay, good. Well, like good, but that'd be nice to have guests, but we, okay, so to review the minutes from the last meeting, let's take a look at the action items. Melanie sent them out in the email.
Okay, action item 1 is the one that we are keeping on the books till the spring, which is Harbor Master Donch will discuss the purchase of more up-to-date and advanced options for searchlights for the Harbor Master boat, including a handheld device. This action item will remain open until the spring commissioning of the Harbor Master boat. Number 2, Commissioner O'Neill will report at the January, now February meeting on his discussion with other Connecticut harbor masters related to their rules and compensation.
And I have not been able to do that. I've been tied up with the mooring approvals.
Okay. Hoping March, Paul?
Yes, but I think we need to have an offline discussion about the way forward with this, because the last discussion was done during executive session.
Yes,
due to nature, so I think any follow discussion should be also executive session.
okay.
Okay, we can plan
We
for
can-
an executive session at the end of the March meeting.
Okay. I'll put that in the minutes. Let's see, Jay, we lost you video.
Right?
Okay. Harbor Master number 3, Harbor Master Donch will contact Sound Marine to assess the area at Pawcatuck Point, also known as Osbrook Point, for placement of a helix mooring, green can number 21, as approved by DEEP for the private age navigation. Placement will occur in the spring of 2021 prior to the boating season. Eric,
Have not completed that yet.
okay. Number 4, Harbor Master Donch will send a copy of the DEEP permit for the private age navigation to Commissioner McKinnon to buy a new buoy, for placement in the spring.
Yeah, I still haven't received an actual signed copy back from DEEP on that yet.
Okay,
So
we'll keep it open.
that one has our guidance on what size buoy they want.
Okay. Harbor Master Donch will request a list of items completed for the winterization of the Harbor Master boat from PMW.
Sorry, I forgot I was supposed to do that.
All right.
The dog ate it.
Okay, that's a good one. Number 6, Chairman Spalding will add financial planning, including capital items projects, to the February meeting agenda. And that is on there, so that's closed.
Yep, I did that.
Let's go back to item 5 for a second.
Yes,
Eric, didn't I send you a copy of PMW's normal list for winterization?
I'd have to go look back in the email, Jess. It sounds familiar. I think you did.
Yeah, I think
I'm
we
not
probably,
remembering off the top of my head.
yeah, I'm pretty sure that I provided a list. If not, I will, but I don't know that we really need to say anything more to PMW with regards to their winterization. The thing I questioned was if they had something they called out separately, and that's because it was a 4-stroke instead of a 2-stroke. I think it's called change. I think they had changing the oil. If something was separate, and that is in fact on their list of things that they do. But I think action item 5, I thought I kind of taken care of it by sending it to Eric, but I will after this meeting make sure that you get PMW standard list for things.
Do you remember when you sent it, Jess? Was it right after the last meeting?
It would have been right after the meeting.
Yeah, I remember it was right. It was right after last meeting you sent that.
okay, so I will show that closed then.
Yeah,
I think
I
so.
closed that.
All
And the
right,
further detail to that was the question about whether or not the motor was still under warranty and whether or not PMW were acting on that basis of just making sure and double checking with regard to the warranty of the engine.
Yeah. Jesse, I do have your email here. The 2020 winterization rates total plus the 80 for a 4-stroke consistent with published winterization rates. I do have that email.
Yeah, so I think we're okay on item 5.
All right. So that answered the question that was brought up.
Yep.
So
Yeah, that one's done.
all right then. The next one is mine. We'll send instructions for removal of names from online mooring wait list. I had listed Ed Smith and corrected it to read Paul O'Neill, and that's been done. Next one is item 8. Harbor Master Donch will investigate local swimming clubs using the harbor for their swimming sessions, which is against the SHMC plan.
yeah, it's so the plan says swimming in the channels. So it's upon further investigation, it's really a no, never mind. It'll continue on a as needed basis once we start getting some vessel traffic in the harbor. Just talking to the individual swimmers and asking them to be mindful of where they're swimming and trying not to get run over.
Right.
Okay,
The wide club swimmers are still at it, I guess.
Yeah, there's a lot
They
of people still swimming.
Yeah.
Good for them. I'm staying in where it's warm.
Party souls. You're not gonna get- You don't catch me swimming in the summertime.
I think we ought to check the drinking after the fact.
Probably before.
Before.
And
By
we
the
have number
background-
action item number 8, second number 8, which is
Yes,
fine.
I copied
Which-
and pasted and didn't check, so sorry for the typos. So item number 9 is Chairman Spalding will check again with Tim Delgado from Deep for his comments.
I did that, and I got and I'll report that during the old business item for that.
All righty. Item number 10, Chairman Spalding will send the meeting schedule to the town clerk, which he did, so that's
Yep,
closed.
you can mark that done.
And lastly, mine, Secretary Gagler will send the agreed newsletter article list assignments to all commissioners, and you all have that email, so that's done. So we're all set with the open items, and we're showing 1, 2, 3, 4 open items.
Okay. Can I get a motion to accept the minutes from the last meeting?
Motion to accept?
Second.
Oh, Bruce A. and then Bruce M. Okay.
All right,
Any discussion of the minutes of the last meeting? Any corrections, discussion? All right, then all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, thank you. Your next up was, well, public comment. There is nobody's connected, so we can go by that. There was no correspondence this month. Town hall remains essentially open by appointment only. Stacy Haskell went and checked the mail for me, and we determined there was no correspondence. That brings us to treasurer's report. So go ahead, take it, Sherm.
Okay. Why don't we start with, you got 2 spreadsheets. Let's start with the one on the plan.
Did everybody get the spreadsheets from Sherm?
Sure, I'm not sure. I couldn't find it. I don't think I got them.
You did
Okay.
not get them?
I don't think so. And I just,
He sent them on
They were a while back.
February 4th. He sent them on February 4th.
February 4th. Let me go back. I looked and I actually searched Sherm Kreitz. Do they come in on Sherm Kreitz or do they come in on another email address?
Oh, it's,
They come in at skreitz@tranquility.net.
I
All
just
right.
forwarded them to you, Bruce.
Thank you. That's Kreitz at Tranquility. Maybe it's here. No, well, I don't have it in the Sherm, so you forwarded it to me, Jess?
I got it, Sherm, because it reminded me that I had to write my report.
yeah, I got it.
I just forwarded them to you, Bruce.
I got it. Thank you.
Just forwarded them
Yep.
to you.
All right, you got it now?
Yep.
Okay.
You're familiar with this report. I think we do it every year. It's basically, I add a year's worth of history and hide a year. So you've got, for each of the items we normally pay attention to, we've got last 4 years history of what we spent, or either received or spent. And then a little spot for you to make notes. And then just to get things rolling, I've sort of roughed in some numbers that come to my mind when I was putting this together. That doesn't make them the kind of numbers we ought to have. That's a start. So if you're all, the format is exactly the same as what we cover every month. So everything's in its normal place. At the very bottom, very hard to see, bottom line are the reserve accounts we've set up. The 4 of them. So we'll get to that when we get to the end of this page. So why don't we start up on the receipt side, the income, the funds side. And all I've done, because I don't have a better notion, is use the basically the same numbers that we ended up last year with 2020. So it's driven by obviously the number of moorings we fill. So it's, if you look at the right-hand column, talking about 128 commercial moorings, 260 private moorings, and the 14 special moorings, which were what we ended up with in terms of money in the bank or money in the town at the end of the year. So I don't have any better notion than that, but I think, Eric, you and Charles can probably help us on that. In terms of what you think you might be able to get out or plan to get out, or roughly plan to get out this next year.
Yeah, I was just trying to, I got way too many windows open here. I was just looking for my report. I think it was 258 renewals went out, which includes the 3 that are the commercial. So 260 is probably a good number. It looks like Paul's having some good luck. We might be able to push that to 270 as a projected private, or a projected total number of, or actually that would be the private moorings.
Private.
Yeah.
Private number.
Yep. I think we could realistically try and achieve 270 on that.
Anybody else? Any other thoughts?
And that's actually a conservative. I think we'll do better than that. But
I think at our last meeting, you sounded more optimistic than that based on the wait list, where you guys were on the wait list.
yeah, well, I know I just sent, I believe it was 6 assignments. It was either 6 or 8 assignments over to Paul. We have,
It was 8.
It was 8, right?
8
Okay.
and one dropped off. They wanted to defer, so call
Yeah.
it 7. But
Yeah,
there's
so
3.
it was 6 numbers that I gave you plus 1 over on Wickety Quack Cove. So that
Yeah.
was 7.
7.
And then Melanie, I sent you 5.
I have, yes, I have them. They're all on it's showing East Side or
Yeah.
Wickety Quack Cove, Walker's Dock.
Yep.
So my question on that, yeah, I'm looking at all of them right here. Only one of them is in the harbor.
That would have been a littoral.
That, yeah, that was Polito.
Yep.
And so I had a question on these, since they're all on the other side, do we want to offer up more for the harbor itself?
No, that grouping that you have is actual people that went out in the boat with me towards the end of the season last year to establish spots to initiate for this year.
Okay.
So they're not necessarily people from the wait list. They're people that know you can get moorings on the east side without a wait.
Okay.
But I think continuing looking at the mooring, the harbor proper,
Yeah.
continuing on the route that we're going with Paul right now, we're going to be in good shape. And then remind me, Paul, was there an extension to your group yet to be contacted, or have you got a hold of everybody in your?
I've gotten a hold of everybody, but there is one holdout that he hasn't responded to an request to update his vessel information.
Okay.
So I'll get back with him, but
Let's
Okay.
go back. Hey, Eric, go back for a second, because I didn't understand the point Melanie brought up. That group you took over to the cove, they're not on the wait list. If they go ahead and decide to go ahead with moorings, do they look like they're going to do that?
Yes, they are definitely mooring. So,
how many
so
are
I've
you
got
talking-
a total right now between what Melanie has and what Paul has for definite yeses. That's a total of 12. that would be new on top of our number from last year.
That would be then, you'd say 272 or something like that.
Yeah, so 272. So if you want to make 275 a number, I think that'd be realistic. And we'll probably better it.
You all be comfortable with that?
Eric, I'm also working one from last year that's still incomplete.
Okay.
Black.
Yep.
So,
Okay. So that there's 273. So 275 is I think a good number for your basis for your calculation, Sherm.
I have some questions, but it's separate, so we can talk about it in the harbor master's report regarding deferrals from last year.
Okay.
All right, so I will pencil in 275. And I won't try to do the math now, but I'll run that and come up with a new total number on fees. Let's go down then to the expenses. We just sort of go down and just stop me when you see something that doesn't look right, or you've got comment on it, and we'll sort of do it that way. We had no mailings last year, and I don't know what mailings are anymore, Eric, given online mooring, so I don't think there are any.
We didn't send anything out hard copy this year for renewals.
Right.
The question would be, and I think probably our mailing expense this year, we're gonna, from the sounds of it, we're gonna need to send out a mailing, a one-time, like we did with the mooring holders, a one-time mailing to the waitlist people, explaining what's going on and what they need to do. So there's, let's just say 250 pieces of mail at, what
30
is it
cents.
now? 40, 45 cents?
45.
Yeah, so there's 100 and a quarter.
Envelopes, 50 cents. How many are you gonna send out? 300?
225 to 230, of which I probably already have enough pre-addressed stamped envelopes right now.
All right, let's make it 200 bucks.
I'll tell you what, I can tell you what a box of these envelopes costs. Maybe. Has everything on the invoice, but the bottom line for a box of pre-addressed, pre-stamped envelopes is 300 bucks.
So that's what you're planning to do. What you'll do is buy a box?
I've got a box right now, but we'll end up replacing it probably.
All right, so we'll do $300. How about that?
That'll more than cover it, I'm sure.
No telephone.
Oh.
Okay, a bigger one is online moorings. We're now in the, we've departed our original contract where the wait list did not cost us anything. And we're now in a modified situation where anything that happens on the wait list costs us $6, just as a mooring permit or renewal does. So
Okay, so
it's just in for round numbers, I figured
28.
636 total applications of one sort or another, wait list or mooring renewal or new moorings, roughly will run this year through online moorings at $6 a piece is $3,800. And if we have the same ratio of payments through, is it Strike? Is that the name of the payment thing? Melanie, what is it, Strike?
Yes,
Stripe,
Yep.
Strike,
Yeah.
something like that. Yeah.
no longer
Same-
PayPal.
Same ratio, it's roughly $1,200 worth of the $2.18 one. So the $5,000 doesn't look to be too far off what we will end up paying in fees to online mooring.
Okay. So you didn't want to add waiting list fees to the
It's
funds
in there.
above?
That's in there.
It's in there, 630, my count was 636 hits, I guess, Jay. And let's say it was 700 and not 636. I mean, that's just a round number, the way I put it together. It's still, the 5,000 still catches it.
Okay,
I think the key to remember is the wait list stuff now costs us $6.
Right.
This year we have no way to offset that. Not a particularly big deal, but next year presumably we'll start charging the wait list people, and we'll offset that expense. Okay, nothing for miscellaneous. You're all right with the 5,000. You're down to the boat. Eric got his expense report in. We spent about $150, I think it was, last year, Eric, on gasoline. So I figured 200 this year.
Sounds good.
Far off. Commissioning about 2,500. I'm not real sure of that number. I kind of thought we were doing 2 a year, but we're really not. The history says that 2,500 would be plenty. I don't know what happened in 2019. I don't remember.
Yeah.
That might have been bottom painting included in 2019. Is
So
that,
2019 is the low one, Jess. It's 200.
oh, I'm sorry.
I think it
Sorry, I
slipped
took it
to the next,
2020.
I think the billing slipped to the next year or something, Sherm.
Well, that could be.
Combination of that and what year did we, one year I kept the boat with canvas on it or just putting a tarp on it. And then we started sending it over to Don's dock and having it wrapped. We've been doing that for a couple of years now, I think. So, but I think Jay's on it. I think it's when the bill slipped into the next financial year.
So unless something changes, and if I recall our last meeting, you said the boat's in pretty good shape. You don't expect
True statement.
anything going to happen next year in terms of commissioning that's out of the ordinary.
Not after you guys all come over for the washing and polishing.
Oh my gosh, that's right.
Yeah, we'll be there.
Where do we put the beer and the other assorted things for the washing and polishing parties?
Those will be at different stations in the garage so that we can social distance and rotate through.
Okay, good.
Sounds like fun, but I got 2 boats to do myself, so
Bring them
Not-
over.
helping you out. Sorry.
I'll bring my boats over, sure.
Yeah.
We can have a regular boat
I'll polish my
polishing
boats,
party.
that'd be good.
Right, we'll keep the 2,500. We don't have any storage that's included over at Don's dock. Maintenance and repairs, 500. That would be more than enough compared to what we've done lately. So
how come we don't have anything for storage at Don's dock? I mean, that's where we're keeping it. It doesn't stay there for free.
It's in the commissioning fee, I think,
the commissioning fee, yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
It all gets under one bill. Yeah.
Owen Bill.
Your thoughts on repair? I know you plan to do some stuff. That's where that is. You're going to put in handholds for Jess. That could be 3 or 4. God knows how much that will be.
I figured that's probably under the equipment line would be
Well, that would be the
the
hardware. That would be the hardware, but if somebody has to do any work, it would be up under the maintenance repairs.
yeah, I'll be installing those.
Okay.
The only thing that might challenge that 500 is I really would like to get that
Door.
that hatch / door, something done with that this year. And we haven't really found anybody or looked into. I haven't made a call up to the manufacturer to see what that would be to do. Just taking the size of that door and that hatch and the multiplier when you say boat, 500, we could challenge 500 there.
Do you have the dimensions of that?
Not off the top of my head, no.
Okay. So we're not going to know the dimensions, so we pull the the cover off of it in the spring. So that's not
Yeah,
going
it's
to happen
about-
anytime soon then.
Jesse, if you got your tape measure, it's about this wide, about that tall.
We still got shrink wrap doors if you want to put one in the bubble.
Should we be building up any reserve? I mean, the boat's not getting any newer. And when things start to go on a boat, that's usually not cheap, as we were saying. Should we be putting something in there just to build up a reserve? So, when the alternator goes, or when this or that goes, we have something in the till? Or is that in the replacement of the Harbor Master's boat reserve? Is it covered in that?
No, it's really not. The intent of the Harbor Master Boat Reserve is a new boat and/or motor. I mean, the whole works.
Right.
If somebody asked what that was, that's what I would say.
Yeah, I think that would be, an extraordinary expense, unexpected, and we've got cash on hand
Yeah.
for that type of, unexpected repair.
Right. I think, Joe, that if something came up like that, isn't something that can't be handled in, normally we plan more than we spend virtually every year. And there may well be items that we really don't have to spend if we don't want to, if we knew ahead of time on just regular operating expenses. But the worst case, we have 50,000 some odd dollars we can draw against, just because it's down here in the reserve. Nobody supervises when we can move that back into an operating.
Okay.
So in a sense, we've got what you're talking about.
No, I understand. Okay, I just didn't know to what detail we try to reserve. If that's how we look at it, that's terrific.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's
Should we
interesting, if you
increase
look at I don't know who set up the accounting with the town when this was originally set up. But the town runs a set of books on us, and every month we get a copy of it. Jay gets a copy, I do, and we balance to it. But it was set up with 3 accounts, 3 line items. And that's all the town, and I don't think the town even cares about the 3 line items for that matter. I think they all really care about is the fees generated, the income, and then whatever the expenses are, although there may be some tax advantage to one of them to them. So what we've got here is what we felt we wanted to have level of detail to be able to manage our commission. We can make this anything we want.
So it's more our internal use, really.
For our internal use, although it gets published, which is interesting, of course, and I don't recall ever receiving or hearing about any of us receiving a question from anybody in the public or anywhere else about any of these numbers, the format or anything else. So
That means we're doing a good job. And Sherm, how does the town numbers reconcile with our numbers, and where do they get their data from?
they get their data from us. I mean, in terms of expenses, we approve all expenses to be paid. And then they go ahead and cut the check and debit their account. And at the same time, when I send in the bill to be paid, I include a slip of paper that tells them where to put it on their books. And then I put it on our books where in the category it belongs. So I classify a $100 expense in one line item for us and another line item for them, their line.
So does their bottom line agree with our bottom line?
Yes, on income and expenses.
All right, that's good.
So we reduce our 15 line items to 3 line items that we give to them. That, or whatever, something like that.
Yeah. I didn't hear that all, Joe. Is that a question or?
No, so I'm saying, since they only have just a few line items, you just reduce our, call it 15 line items you have here down into the buckets that they have, and that's the end of it.
That's right. And
Okay?
to be honest with you, I do not believe they pay any attention to our numbers.
They
They
would have
balance
been bigger.
theirs, yes, but I don't think they have ever balanced to this.
Okay.
Anyway,
Good for us.
we're happy. I'm happy. I hope we're all happy with the thing. Got sort of sidetracked. So we're back to the hatch. We can put in some more money for that, or we can figure that there's $750 or so there between repairs and miscellaneous repairs and the equipment. I have no idea. Aren't you gonna have a custom made hatch for that?
Unless it's something that the manufacturer has a pattern for to make us something, which based on our experience up at the manufacturer's shop, my guess would be that they're probably custom built to each boat.
Yeah.
So I'm sure that there's commission members that have bought boat parts more recently than I have that might be able to throw a better number out there. I mean, I'm inclined to say let's bump it to 1,000, but you guys know better than I do.
I was gonna say 1,000.
So Eric, what's the name of that boat manufacturer?
Ocean Scout,
Ocean Scout.
and they were up in Bristol, remember?
Yep.
All right, I just made it $1,000. And the 250, we'll just leave that there for your hardware.
Yeah, that'll probably, we're gonna buy the
Grips, grabbers,
we're gonna buy the handrails and the spotlight.
yeah.
I don't know of any other needed equipment right now.
All right, so I'm looking on the Ocean Scout website right now. They still make that boat. It looks like the hatch that you're talking about, the entryway down to the cabin, looks like they've got a plastic door for it now. So it's probably worthwhile contacting them and see if it's the exact same dimensions as what we have, which it probably is.
Yeah, probably.
Not going to change the dimensions of that cabin.
He's probably using the same mold.
Yeah, so.
Yeah.
So we should be able to get that.
Yeah, so I'll Melanie, go ahead and put it down as an action item.
I already did.
Jesse, I'm pretty sure that in my records I'll have that the gentleman that we talked to up there that we dealt with when we had the deck done and the fuel tank and everything else. So unless you have a burning desire to, I'll reach out to him.
I think his name might be Dave Vargas.
Okay.
All right, let's go under the buoys. Fairly big item for us this year. This is the commission haul and store, and we've been pretty consistent with what it's cost in the past recently for what we currently have. And I figured we're adding like what, 5 new ones?
Hopefully.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
right.
I didn't quite double it, but I came close to just doubling the amount for this year. We'll have roughly twice as many buoys.
Right.
Are we omitting the channel markers through the mooring field?
Yes.
Yeah.
For this,
Yes.
We were told we can't have those.
So that'll be an omission from the list of installs.
Yeah,
we
but
didn't install those
we
this year. either.
we never had to pay for those.
Yeah,
I was
well,
always
man.
done gratis by Dodson's.
are you sure, Eric? I don't know. I haven't seen Steve's bill.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he
I
did.
didn't think we were paying for that. I thought they put those out.
Well, They owned them. They bought them and put them out, and then we bought them from them.
I think we bought them and then we paid for them for a couple of years to put them in and out.
Did we? Oh, okay.
Here we were told we can't put them out. We didn't do it, right?
I think
Well, we were just told that last year not to put them back out in 21. So
And do Dodsons knows that?
yes, I told them. I told Bob and Steve Kingsland and Mark.
How'd they take that, Bruce?
It was fine.
Okay.
I mentioned that the DEP said we'll see how it goes for 1 year, and if we feel we need something, we might change them to center channel markers, and we just paint them differently and put them down the center of the channel. He said that might work. So
Okay.
Queensland said, "Well, we'll see how the people react to that." Steve did say that visitors tend to use that. Their launch kids in the launch shed will radio back, follow the channel down, and then turn right. So they'll have to adjust that a little bit. He said, as I recall, Eric said, we'll see how it goes, and if we need something there, why we can put 3 or 4 and as center channel markers, and then they could say just follow the center channel markers down and turn right.
Right.
yeah, the other piece of that puzzle is the same guy that approves buoys and markers and such will not be there the next time we ask. He's retiring August 1st.
Okay.
So it could be a different person in place.
Okay. Well, we'll talk to
There ought to
Dotson.
be economies of scale, so I think 6,000 will probably work.
I think so.
Yep.
But just the grid alignment, we didn't do any of that last couple of years.
Hey, Sherm,
Pardon?
sorry to jump in. 6,000, is that including the purchase of the new ones? I
No.
blanked out
that's
for a minute.
down below.
No,
Purchase
Okay.
is down below.
Okay, sorry.
500 for are we doing any more alignment where we have to pay for not very much, but
My answer to that would be, like I put in my note to Paul when I gave him the 6 locations. The locations that I'm putting out right now are off of paper, with a best guess using the dimensions of the boats around them, the soundings that we have. If we assign a person to a mooring location, this is what we've done in the past. If we assign a person a new mooring holder to a location and it just ends up not working out because of swing circles and interference and such, we have paid, I think, twice for the move of that mooring to a new location, not put the burden on the new mooring holder because of a bad guess by me.
right. No, I think that's the right philosophy too. I think we should do that. We just haven't had to do that apparently the last 2 years.
It's funny.
But I
'Cause
don't believe that. I thought we did.
I know we moved at least 2 of them.
All right. And what are they runs around $100, doesn't it?
I would say 100, 150 tops, depending on the size of the mooring. Yeah.
So I suggest we leave the 500. That's 5 moves. The more aggressive you become in terms of placing boats on moorings, which I hope is the case, of course, the more likely it is we're going to have to remedy some of those things you were talking about. So,
And the other piece I'm thinking as we're saying it here is, we may end up, not by people's choices, but we may end up having to shuffle some boats around to fit boats into appropriate places.
sure.
So,
Yeah.
if I call Sherman Kreitz and say, hey, sorry, you're no longer on that spot. I'm moving you to this spot. I'm not expecting Sherm Kreitz to pay for it.
Right. So we okay with 500, that gets us 5 or 6 moves.
Should be good.
Okay. The service locker storage. We expect the guy this year to bill us for a full year.
Yeah, I think when the time comes, we're definitely going to look into that move down to Route 1 across from out behind High Tech Profiles there, or not High Tech.
Davis Standard.
Yeah, across the street from Davis Standard.
It's
Yeah,
on,
thank
it's
you.
called Extrusion Drive is where it is.
Yes. Yep, that's it. Thank you.
Well, without having their price list, let's assume it'll cost us around 500, which is what the other guy cost us when he billed us on a regular basis.
Yep.
Pump out dock. The only expense we've had there in a long, long time is electrical work. Anybody see any more coming?
I don't think so. The dock appears to be in good physical condition. The ramp's in good condition.
What could go wrong?
What's the actual agreement we have with the police? I mean, is it just a shared right down the middle?
I don't think we've ever actually defined it. You know, we floated the idea to them. Hey, we want to put this dock in. Do you want a side of it? And they said yes. And then they just stepped right up and said, we'll take care of fencing and security. We got into discussions about water. They took care of that. We took care of electrical, or vice versa. I forget which way was which.
Yeah, I think what happened was when I laid out the dock, I talked with the police department to find out how long the dock needs to be to handle their boat. So that established the length of the dock, and then we designed it, and I went out for bids and all this stuff. That's how we got it built. As far as the split goes, we cut a deal with the police department that they would take care of the water and we would take care of the electrical. And so far they've kept their end up. They've managed to get the water there. The issue there was, how do we get access to the water at the sewage treatment plant without digging up the driveway?
I remember.
And then of course we put in the electrical, and it's worked out fine.
Have we ever gotten an electric bill?
The electric bill, I think, goes to the town because it's tied in with the sewage treatment plant.
Oh, that's handy.
So we paid to have it run to the dock.
Yeah.
From the outlet that was there for the pump out boat.
We don't have our own meter or anything. No.
Yeah, if anything, they should be including that in their grant estimates for the annual operation of the pump out station, that the grant they get from the state. That's the majority of that electrical use.
And we have, all we have are the lights, right? I mean, we don't really use any other electricity, do we?
Yeah, very rarely for a drop light or something like that, but no, we don't have any. It's not like we keep a battery maintainer or anything like that going.
Okay.
Okay, we okay with leaving it 0 for the pump out dock?
I think you ought to throw in a couple $100 for the dock equipment and maintenance.
Yeah.
Just so we have it there. If we don't use it, that's fine, but I wouldn't be surprised if we have trouble with the lights and we have to talk to SNS about fixing them. Who knows what? So put in $250 or $500 and just let it sit there, if you don't mind.
I don't mind.
Good idea.
Which number, Bruce? You spoke last, so you have to pick the number.
We'll split the difference at 300 and see how that goes.
Okay, I'll put that under dock equipment maintenance. How about that?
Good.
Perfect.
That was good.
All right, administrative newsletter. I heard Fox last meeting that we would print a bunch of them also.
You print and mail. Yep.
Not print, mail, email, do everything else. So at 3,000 would basically do what we were able to do the last time we did that.
Okay.
We okay with that?
Yep.
Professional services. I was thinking this time that the only professional services I can think of, Melanie, are the Zoom costs we have every month.
Yes. That, and once a year, we have I think it's $250 for the Zoom account itself. This $42.57 is for the storage.
Yeah, I think that's why I have 700 there. I didn't remember it was.
Yeah, that sounds good. I don't know if you want to put under supplies, nah, never mind. I'll include it under newsletter stuff.
So Eric, we had talked about data entry or data assistance for you.
That that project was I think our main thing on that was getting the inspection dates in. And as
working on
usual,
it.
Melanie stepped up and did the majority of the work on that.
Oh, okay.
So right now, I don't think we have anything big in the way of data entry to do.
No.
Okay.
And I'm working on this other batch that you gave me in the emails from 2020 for the east side.
Yep.
And I'll do the data entry on that.
Okay.
Okay, now we get to the projects and capital and projects. And the big item hopefully comes through this year, and that's our new 5 slow no wake buoys, which I had recalled we had thought would run around 2,000 a piece, all inclusive. Is that, did I recall correctly? I could be entirely off on that.
I think that's correct, Sherm. The 5 CFRs that we bought for the 2 new anchorage area buoys came at $1,741 each. That's not including we have to get the chain and we have to get an anchor. That's all well and good for those 5. I think even with those 5, it might have to be a little more than 10,000. But I'm worried because we spent, we have the 3,400 for those 2 new anchor area buoys. Those are already done. We have them. They're at Don's dock now. Eric and I picked them up. And we have.
How much did you say? How much did you say? 32.
The Gilman estimate was $1,741 each, so $3,482.
Oh, same price. Okay, so that's up to 13,500.
Right.
Okay.
Then we, we're talking about this Pawcatuck Point buoy, and I've investigated that. That would, Jay gave me another company to go to. I'm personally reluctant to go to another company. I did talk to them. They're in Bristol, Rhode Island, and their price. He couldn't give me an exact price because they're redesigning the buoys that they have already. They're already in, and I guess they're not satisfactory. That should be a red flag. So they're redesigning. They're substantially less expensive than Gilman. But personally, I would try to stick with Gilman. And for that green, now, as Eric said earlier, we don't know the exact size that the DEEP wants. We won't know that. But Eric and I kind of estimated that it might be a 4 CFR, which is a little bit bigger than the anchorage area buoys that we have now. And that would cost us $2,400 for that green buoy if we get it from Gilman, and that's not including whatever chain and whatever other things. So we've already committed about $5,800, And we're not even talking about the 5 new slow no wake buoys. So
Well, that adds up to roughly 16,000.
yeah, yeah.
So the new buoys that we
Doable,
hope
that,
to
don't we?
install off of Pawcatuck Point, do we have an estimate of what it's going to take to have the divers install that with the helical anchor?
No, I have not talked to them yet, Jess.
And should that be included in this line item we're talking about, which is new anchors / channel buoys?
Yes, absolutely. I think we need to figure, we need new chain and anchors for the 2 new anchor area buoys because they're bigger than the old ones. I haven't talked to Ian yet and what he would do with that. Sometimes he sells us reconditioned mushrooms, which is fine for these. If we have 150-pound or 100-pound mushroom, I think I think our slow no wake buoys are sitting on 100-pound Dormore anchors, and they've been fine. So yeah, we have to consider what it's going to cost for the chain and the anchors for 5 new slow no wake buoys plus whatever this Pawcatuck Point buoy is.
Well, right now Sherman's got 0 in there for that. It seems like, did you come up with 16,000, Sherman? Is that what needs to go in there instead of 0?
No, we're on the $10,000 line.
He has $10,000 in there, Jesse.
I have
Okay, so the
10,000.
line below it, which has 0, is that's the one I thought we were talking about because I thought we got past the slow no wake buoys.
Right,
Oh,
yeah, the new anchorage buoys and we'll call the Pawcatuck Point buoy a channel buoy.
You're right, Jesse. I was just putting them all together in one total number, but you're right, it is a separate item. So let's do it separately.
So Sherm, for new anchorage channel buoys, you're
Yes.
going to put at least, you need more than 6,000 because we've already committed. Well, no, we haven't. We've committed about 3,500, and if we go with Gilman, we're adding another 2,400. So it's like $5,900. That's just for the buoys, and now we need chain and hardware.
And diving services. So why don't we put $10,000 into that line that says new anchorage channel buoy with the intention that that's going to be the buoy off of Pawcatuck Point.
Okay.
Sounds good. Let's do
And
that.
still 10,000 for the slow no wakes.
Yes.
Okay,
Right. So the total buoy is up to 20.
up to 20.
The slow no wakes may need more than that. I mean, those buoys are going to be, 17.5 each at least. And then it only needs 250 for tackle. It's probably not enough.
Sherm, is it worth, excuse me, making it 3 line items, slow no wake buoys, anchorage area buoys, channel buoy?
I like that.
Just because I think we're getting into some confusion when we're adding numbers up and talking about the different ones. We may only need to do it this year as we're doing the new stuff, and then we'll go back to 1 line for maintenance or something, but
Sure,
that might just help.
We can do that.
Sounds fine.
Okay. That's
Yeah,
good.
cross off emergency reserve and make it the, Pawcatuck channel buoy or whatever we want to call it.
Yeah.
All these
Don't
numbers,
forget, we ended up carrying a balance of 10 grand forward. So
So what do we want for the new anchorage?
that's the 30, what was it? 3,600
They're 3,400 plus
plus gear.
gear. So
4,000?
1,000.
At least 4,000, probably more.
5. I'd say 5.
5,000.
Okay. So that, and then the channel buoys are another 5.
That's 58. Yeah, 50. Well, plus. I'm sorry. Take that back. It's 2,400 plus the plus the gear. I think that's going to be more expensive gear too. As Jesse said, if we need the divers, if we want a helix buoy, I wonder about a helix. If you not a buoy, helix anchor. that requires then a diver yearly or every 3 years or whatever we do to inspect it, right? Rather than just hauling it up, having one of our
Well,
local.
our ultimate goal is to try and get a piling in there. So if we can get a piling in the 3-4 year range, we wouldn't have to worry about inspection on the helix.
Okay.
The Helix is an exclusive, isn't it? It's only the only install. There's only one guy doing the installs, correct?
Correct.
Eric, do you know if those guys are still around?
It's probably been 6 months since I got an email from them, but it's a pretty easy, quick check.
Oh, that's,
Since we're marking, just a question, Eric, since we're marking a major pile of rocks, what's the likelihood that a helix won't go through it? I mean, the helix needs a specific ground substance to work. So we're trying to drive
Based on the inability to get a helix in back when we were trying to mark the rock buoy in the channel, my hopes of a helix are slim.
Yeah, I would agree.
Is there a similar issue if we put a piling in there as a marker?
Now, I think driving a pile with a pile driver is a whole different dynamic than trying to screw in a helix with a torque bar setup.
All right.
So do you have all the info you need, Sherm, for those?
Well, can we do the whole ball of, well, we'll break it up into 3 categories. But the whole thing adds up to 20,000. Is that reasonable?
I think so.
Okay,
Yeah.
we're done there with that.
Good.
Going down, we're into the reserve network. And if you want to know the truth, if you run all the way to the bottom of that column, you see the last number is minus $2,072. My plan, my guesstimate was in the hole to start with. But I had $10,000 worth of additions to the reserve, which we of course don't have to do. So I would suggest we take those 2 5,000 additions each to the boat and the public access and not do them in this year because we can't afford to do them this year.
Well, if it makes the numbers balanced, then yeah.
Well, they're gonna get closer. It'll still be a little negative and I can fiddle with some of these numbers a little bit. We've rounded off to the nearest highest 1,000 in many cases.
Right.
But I can make it without affecting what our intent is. It can come out around 0, which is fine by me. I mean, there's nothing wrong with a plan that says we're going to spend all of our available cash if we can do what we plan to do.
so I don't quite get it, Sherm. So the emergency, the money we had last year, we had $10,000 in emergency reserve, $10,000 in harbor management boat reserve, and $10,000 in public access improvement. And are those not carried forward or what?
Well, they are carried forward. You can see them down in the bottom of the page.
I'm seeing that we increased. So I think if I understand Sherm, what we had last year, and then he's added projection for this year of 5,000 more for the boat reserve.
Right.
And 5,000 more for the public access.
That's
So
correct.
if we put those back to what we were last year, because we're adding in the more on the buoys, we're in a good spot then, right? We're where we were.
Yes, we agree. We will have exactly, Jay, the same reserves we had at the end of 2000.
Okay, then I'm good.
We
Thank you.
just won't increase them.
We just won't increase them. Okay, good.
And we end up spending basically 100% of what we plan on taking in, which we, of course, we can help ourselves by putting out more moorings than we estimated here at the beginning. And some of these expenses won't happen because they never do. And there could be some overrun. I mean, there's a lot of unknowns, but it's certainly in the ballpark of a pretty aggressive year for us. And we'll always be, from this point on, we're going to be more aggressive than we have been historically because we've greatly increased the number of items that we're taking care of with all of these new buoys, one thing or another.
Yep.
They're expensive.
Yes.
Okay, we all right with this then? What I'll do is clean all of this up, and then if you'll look, we'll quickly go through where we are at the end of January. That's your other spreadsheet you have. It shows a plan with no items in it because we just developed those, and we'll fill in everything we just came up with, the annual plan for the annual plan. In January, all we had on the income side, the fee side, a couple of private moorings that trickled in at the very end of the year. They're really 2020 numbers, but Jill at the town couldn't get them in. I couldn't get them in on that Friday because of COVID, which was the last day they were accepting stuff for that year. So it's in this year. So we've got a $100 gift out of that, I suppose, the way to put it. The online moorings, 798.28. We got hit with all your commercial moorings. Dodson's and all online did in December, the renewals of them. So they charged us $6 for all of them. So that's why that number got so high in the very first month before we basically before we really did anything at all. But that was the commercial, almost all of that's commercial moorings. There are 5 or 6, Melanie, of the private moorings like James Whitliff and a few and some others that I guess were hanging around at the end of the year. And Eric, you caught up with them and cleaned all of that up, and we got it in. But they ran on the wrong side of the line, so it's not a big deal. But that can happen to us at the end of the year. Online mooring does something in the month of December, but they don't bill us for that till January. So we're always going to be off. We got fuel and oil for the boat in. The commissioning, that was the BMW bill we talked about at length last time. I can't remember that equipment. The equipment was a whole bunch of miscellaneous stuff you got. Eric, we had talked about all of it at one point or another, and you pretty much filled out your order, took your order checklist and checked off the boats and dock lines and one thing or another.
Yep.
Any of that. I don't remember the buoys. Were those the anchorage buoys that were brought in, or the channel buoys? I can't remember which. No, it wouldn't have been channel buoys. Anchorage or one of you is looking at that on your computer as a comment on that. Here, let me look. Maybe I've got it.
Commission store that 403.
The last of them coming in.
That says Dotson Hall 5 slow no wake buoys as the comment.
That's what it was. It was this
That's what they were.
slow no wake buoys, right?
And the signage, that was 3966. Which sign was that? That wasn't yours.
I think that
Oh,
might have
you did. Eric.
Was Joe,
was,
that the signs Joe worked on?
yeah, it might have been Joe's.
No, his was 90 something.
Yeah,
Okay.
that was 96 back in last year, earlier.
Back in July.
Might have been replacement lettering on the boat.
Could have been. It was on your expense report.
Yeah, it was probably replacement lettering then.
And the professional service, that was the Zoom meeting charge. So we ended up the month between what we carried in, money we carried in that was undesignated, and the 100 we got, and then the 3,000 we spent, we ended up with $7,800. At the end of January, we were okay on. So, which balances were the town?
Looks
So
good.
that's it.
Looks good.
I haven't seen any bills yet for February.
I have two
Go ahead.
questions.
Yes,
Are we paying 42.57? Wait a minute, no, what was it? We pay $42. Is that a month for Zoom?
That's for, we have to pay the initial yearly fee covers a certain amount of storage, and our meetings generate a large video storage.
Okay, that makes
And
sense.
so I had to purchase more because town requires it for the posting.
Yeah.
And previously, when we were using their account for the WebEx, they covered it. But
Mhm.
since we're doing Zoom on our own, and other commissions I've learned are also going to Zoom because the WebEx isn't working well.
Great.
So
I have my own Zoom account, and I paid $100-something for the year, but I don't have to record anything. That's great.
Right.
Second point that came to mind, going back to Sherm's other whatever that other report is.
spreadsheet.
The spreadsheet. Am I wrong that last month did we okay a $50 processing fee for the wait list? And did we vote an okay? I did look at the minutes, but I haven't, today. Waitlist annual renewal of $25. That I don't see that reflected in the income in your worksheet. That might come up to $5,000 or $6,000.
I didn't think we could do that this year, but maybe we can. Maybe I'm using.
Oh, we would be doing that in September. We would be starting to collect the $25 renewal on the wait list. in September.
Okay.
Oh, and you're right. I should have included that in here.
I noted that, but I thought maybe we'll just wait, see how that goes when it goes.
Well, anyway, just it gives us
It may not be a bad idea.
an extra $5,000 or $6,000.
But that is the money. That's right.
Yeah.
We're talking about how many on the wait list now? 200 or so?
220, I think.
Yeah. Call it 220. But will we get 100% renewal once we put the new policy out there?
Yeah.
Probably. Yeah.
Probably not,
Yeah.
you know.
So maybe it'll get us 2,000.
Yeah, I mean, 100 and what do we say, $25 a head? So
Yeah.
150 renewals at $25 a head. whatever that gets us.
Okay, just, I thought I'd bring it up.
Yes, that's a source of income for this year that that is not accounted for yet.
And then we have to deduct the $6 from online for each one.
Well,
We're already deducting the $6. $6 is in here.
Yeah, that's already in there.
I think the 5,000 he put in there accounts for the $6 for the weighted
That's
list.
right.
Oh, okay.
But I do think that is a little reassuring to, assuming we pull it off, that we know that we've got a certain amount of income that's going to show up. And I will also, I think it's probably worthwhile adding another line up in the funds generated for waitlist fees. And see that, record that differently, separately from mooring fees.
I think that's a good idea.
Yeah.
So we can track it.
Yeah. That's all I have.
Thank you, Sherm. Can I get a motion to approve the treasurer's report?
So move.
Second,
Second,
Jesse
Jess,
and Bruce?
yeah.
Bruce seconded. Any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, Sherm. All right, that brings us to Eric, Harbor Master's report.
All right, send in a message here. All right, for the Harbor Master report. Hopefully everybody got this because I sent it as a reply all back to Jay. So right now I'm saying no new moorings for 2021 yet. Assignments in the works. I had 9 down with Paul.
That should be 7, Eric.
That should actually be 7. Yep.
Yep.
Okay. And
So
then
that, Paul, that's all you're getting out of the 20 some moorings?
Out of 22, 8 came off the list. 7 are in process for moorings. 6 asked to defer a year, and 1 has been difficult to get to reply to my emails. He's
Well, it
replied.
sounds like we ought to get some more going then.
Yeah.
Okay.
Though I have a bunch of deferrals
yes.
from last year, so I'm
Yeah,
gonna have to work on those.
We want to clean up Melanie's deferrals or at least have a little bit better handle on those before we jump into the next batch.
And I have 1 referral from last year.
But it's nice and early in the season. So
Okay.
okay, so one more person when the renewals went out replied to me and said, it's been a good run, but I'm done. So there's a 1 given up. No money deposited yet. Sherm, I did get the first check from Online Mooring. It's for $100, and that'll go in later this week. Thursday, Friday, I'm off. I'll make a deposit then. Okay, so as far as renewals went, I was a little delayed because I was trying to dig through all my old emails and make sure that I wasn't sending renewals to people that had told us last year they were giving up and bouncing out against the list. They did actually go out on February 1st. The funny part is I hit the send button and said, geez, I wonder how long it's going to take before we start getting replies. The first phone call was 15 minutes later.
Nice.
Yeah. So they're moving along pretty good. Actually, let's see. I've got 259 went out. When I wrote this on Friday, 42 were approved. Town of Stonington dashboard Right now we've got only a couple more. I'm at 46, but I see that I've got another half dozen or so that are ready to be approved under review. So it's doing good. 17 under review. Those are people that have not submitted mostly registration paperwork at this point. By a quick look at the dashboard here and the signs. We last year when we were at this point, somebody came up with an idea. It might have been you, Mel, because you're familiar with this, about another piece of information to include in this. Do you remember what that was? Okay, good.
Did we, let's see. So with pandemic DMV, we can't do that yet, I don't think.
No,
Was the other thing we wanted to do the safe boating certificate?
yeah,
No.
I don't think that was it. Anyways, okay, no problem. So that's where we are on renewals right now. That's about the only thing that's happened this month. I thought of it after I hit send on this. I did. So the conversation that I was having with Melanie earlier when we were looking at a number, there were 5 or 6 people that late in the season last year asked to have positions assigned over on the east side, Wickety-Quack Cove, Walker's Dock area. So each of those people, it was at the end of the season, we filled out paperwork and we said, we'll start fresh in 2021. And Melanie's helping out by putting those people into the database. And when I did that, I went ahead and included a mooring for the harbor master, because I don't see, when I send stuff out, I don't see what the customer gets. So what I did was I picked a mooring location off of the chart that basically falls right on top of the dock. And I asked Melanie to put that in because it's a different process because it doesn't come off the waiting list. So going forward, the harbor master will have a mooring location so that when emails go out, notifications go out, any of that kind of stuff, I can see the customer end of it. The problem I have right now is when somebody calls me up and says, hey, I've got a 16-foot sailboat without a motor. I don't need a registration. How do I get by this step? And without a screenshot to look at, I'm talking to him saying, well, there ought to be an option for, not required or not applicable or something, but I don't know that. So that'll be on the list going forward for mooring holders. And Sherm, what I figured we'd do is, I'll just pay the $50 out of the what do we call that?
Cash fund.
The cash fund that I have.
Yeah.
So that I can see that part of the process also. And then I'll just, I'll submit it as an expense so that we put it back into the cash fund.
That'd be great.
Makes sense.
Okay.
Yep, that works fine.
Okay. So that piece was not on the harbor master report because I forgot to do it. Moving on down as far as the boat goes.
Eric, can we just, since you were just talking about this group, do you want me to make this group like we did for Elihu Island separate? Because the problem is we don't have them, they're not on the grid.
Right.
So I can't take a location out of online mooring and assign it to them. So I will have to set it up like we did for Elihu. Is it Elihu or Elihu?
I think that depends on where you grew up
today.
Yeah.
So that we can put them in because they're not on the master grid.
How do we do the other moorings that are on the east side. Those just have designators of ES or WC or yeah.
Okay. Is that what you want me to do? Or I can set them up so that we can look at them like they are, like we do with Elihu.
Elihu we do as a group.
Right.
Yeah, I don't, because we don't have a
Okay.
manager. Elihu has a manager of the group.
Yeah. So we wanted them to look like
More or
commercial.
less like a marina. Right.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, we don't want to do that with it. These are individual people.
Okay.
So,
Because I'm gonna have to go in and like come up with each one. So I'll play with this week.
so
I didn't get to it last week like I thought I would. So I will do those this week and let you
Online
know if
must
I have any
have-
questions.
I can't imagine that. Well, I mean, maybe every one of online's mooring has, or customers has individual mooring designators.
You, Eric, do you track the positions of the east side moorings?
We have positions on just about all of them now, I believe.
Okay.
So I can make up I hate to use the term grid because it's not going to
Well,
be.
no, you don't want to do a grid, but each,
I can come up with a numbering system if that's what you need, Mel.
they're just a ES 1 through whatever. aren't they?
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm looking at so that we
Okay.
have a numbering system for them.
Okay, I can do that then.
Okay.
I actually have something in the works. So ES mooring numbers. Yeah, so there'll be like a ES 1 through whatever. There'll be a WC for Wickety Quack Cove,
Okay.
1 for whatever.
Walker's Dock, are you doing that?
OP for Osbrook Point.
Okay.
And Walker's Dock. So there'll be ES, WD, then we get to Wickety Quack Cove, and then we get to Osbrook Point. Okay. Yep. I'll give you some kind of system to put them under.
All right, thank you.
So our numbers have gone up over there, Eric?
Yes.
No, the ES, east side are all littoral moorings, right?
No.
Not littoral as in waterfront. Most of them, pretty much all of them, live local, either in or just outside the borough or here in town. We don't have New York and New Jersey moorings over on the east side.
Well, I thought the east side moorings, the east side of the borough, was all property, littoral property owners.
Not all of the moorings there are littoral. See, to me, littoral is owning a waterfront piece. So if that's
Right. I know there's some associations, the condo association and the
Yep.
East,
the borough school and
East Bay or East or Grand Avenue there, whatever. They have a couple moorings too, I think.
borough school is the only association, so to speak, to have a mooring over there.
They just have one.
All the others are private individuals.
So you could have a house somewhere else and you can ask for a mooring on the east side?
Yes. Yeah. For
Okay.
instance, you could live on, of course, I can't think of the name of any of the streets.
Well, I got
that
one right here.
kind of parallel Sherm and Jesse and those guys. And
Well, how about this one? Wickety Quack Cove, the person lives on William Street in Pawcatuck. And then we have somebody that lives in New York,
it's a New York mailing address. That's
right, but they're on Hancock Street.
Hancock. That's the name I was trying to think of.
And
Hancock
they're
Street.
on the east side.
Yeah. So you may live 2, 3, 4 houses up on Hancock Street away from the water, but an east side mooring makes sense for you.
Okay, because they've got some way to have access, I guess.
Yeah. They're most of when anybody asks to go over on that side, the first question is, how are you going to get to your boat? Most of the people that are truly east side, which is from the point down to like the borough school, most of those people either A, have a dock right there, or B, are usually talking about putting a kayak in at the end of, I believe it's right at the end of Hancock Street. There's that little seawall you can go over with a, I hate to call it a beach, but it's a beach.
Yeah, there's a public access point.
Public access right there, right? So they go in that way.
Okay.
Wickety-Quack Cove, you know, there's marinas north of the bridge that they can keep a small boat at to get out to Wickety-Quack Cove.
Right. No, I think that's fine. I mean, I used to have more in there in Wickety-Quack Cove, and I used
Yeah.
Stan's marina.
Yeah, the funny part is how many people tell me they're great friends with Rob Valeni, and that he's already said they can keep a boat at his dock. And then when I call Rob, he says, "Huh?" So,
But I mean, I think that's fine. I mean, to do it that way, I didn't know people were doing that on the east side as well. I know Wickety-Quack Cove's been that way for a while.
yeah, and you'll also find a lot of the people on the east side are also on the wait list for a in the harbor proper mooring.
Okay.
And then,
Are we full on the east side?
We're getting pretty close to that stretch. Couple of people with fairly decent sized boats hit us up last year. So I mean, it's an unprotected water in anything
Yeah.
south to southeast.
Yeah.
So we can
Yeah.
usually,
Wickety-Quack Cove is protected nicely, but it's just so shallow. So it's,
yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Okay.
thank you, Kurt.
Did that answer your question, Mel? So I owe you some numbers over there, Mel.
Yes,
Okay. As far as the boat, it's still stored at Don's dock, and we've already, in different conversations, talked about the additional gear we'd be interested for this year. Excuse me, the additional handrails and the spotlight, and we'll be looking at taking advantage of Defender's sale for that gear, especially the spotlight.
Did you get that email I sent about it?
I did, yes.
Did you agree with my findings, or in terms of a?
As far as a wired spotlight, one that can plug into a cigarette lighter, it's got to have a fairly lengthy cord to be usable, because you have to be able to stretch that cord. If you're on the port side, you got to be able to stretch it 6 feet. If you're trying to use it on the starboard side, it's got to stretch 8+ feet so that you can get it around outside of the house of the boat, so that it's not just reflecting off the interior windows and blinding you. So it's going to come down to the very nice.
Hey, Bruce, you're talking about your recommendation to have a wired one?
Yeah.
I think
and the reason
that's a
being
good
is that-
recommendation for in the past, but I think the new technology with the LED lamps and the lithium ion battery really changes the whole equation. You get a battery that's much better at taking recharging, and a lamp that uses a lot less electricity. I think the new lithium ion battery with a LED lamp would be ideal. And you
Well, the one that I suggested to Eric is an LED.
This
It's wired. It's got the helix or helic cable, and it does extend to 8 foot. It also has underwater capabilities, and I thought that was an interesting feature. But in terms of price point, by all means, the light that Jesse just showed is the deal beater. So, and that does have a lithium ion battery and LED. So I'll bow to either.
And it's never run out on me, never.
Until you need it.
Yeah.
Well, the optimal is, and I'm trying to think of who makes it now.
Well, you definitely
It's
don't
a-
want a hardwired mounted one, right? That you want the manual,
We have a hardwired mounted
right?
spot searchlight on the boat.
Yep.
The optimal is a handheld that if the battery starts going away on you because you've been out there for 6 hours or whatever, whatever, for some reason the battery starts going away, that you can then plug it in and use it as a corded light
Right.
at that point to continue, so not all of them that are rechargeable also run at the same time. It's frowned upon to try and run it off of the recharge cord. That's what I'm trying to say.
Well, there are options, and obviously, check the website.
Yep.
And we'll have everything in stock. I know that for a fact.
Yep. And when did you say the sale was happening?
The sale is the 18th to the 28th of March. And just so that
March.
folks, we were talking before we had the meeting, but the doors will be locked during that period. There will be no, the store will be closed, but so it's purely an online purchasing and or calling in and schedule curbside pickup, as we call it.
Okay.
Let's see. That's pretty much everything I had as far as a report goes. Not, like I said, not a heck of a lot going on this month.
Okay, thank you, Eric. Can I get a motion to accept the Harbor Master's report?
Motion to accept?
Second.
Thank you, Bruce. Somebody second?
So move.
Okay.
Sorry, who's second?
Any more discussion, question?
I did,
Caleb?
yes.
Thank you.
Any more discussion? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thank you. Thank you, Eric.
Yep.
So next on our agenda is old business. First on the old business is a newsletter update.
Nothing really to update. I've actually started formatting it for this year, which is much easier with the new publishing program that I have. So it's making life a lot easier with that. And once I start getting in articles from everyone, you have the list. And we'll go from there. We'll talk more in April once we see with the pandemic whether we're going to do printing or not, based on whether places can accept. I just have a question. So last year we emailed the newsletter to everyone. Are we still going to do that this year, or we're going to wait and determine what the pandemic says versus just doing an email or doing email printing?
Is that a decision we have to make now?
No,
Then
I think we
it's
should wait until we know more about what the pandemic's going to offer us for this season. But right
I
now,
mean, it's not going to hurt us, right? We're putting the newsletter together. It's going to go out through our online mooring system to all of our mooring holders and waitlist people, like it did last year.
right.
And then we can, even if it's May or June, we can always say, hey, things have been lifted. The boating industry is coming back up. Let's print them out and put them out.
Okay.
That's my
Right,
cut on
there's
it.
the manual distribution, but I think we could plan on a mail distribution.
Who would we need to mail them to, though?
Yeah. That's
Well,
what I'm
I
confused about.
what-
Why are
what we
we
did-
mailing them?
What we did last year, and we tried to do, was to email them out, but also printed, I think, close to 1,000 that
No,
were
we didn't.
distributed at,
No, we didn't print
No,
any
we
last
didn't
year,
do any.
Jesse.
no, I'm talking
printing.
about the previous year.
Yeah,
We
that was the
had
year
at,
before.
Tom's News and various other
Right.
places.
Right. But if the pandemic's still on, we can't, they can't accept them.
That's
'cause
not
they
true. You
can't
can
put
go to
out
Tom's
more.
News now and pick up anything you want to.
Okay, well,
That's
they're
true too.
not
Yeah.
supposed to be
Yeah, I
doing
mean,
that,
I-
but
everybody thinks it's better to distribute them online, I mean, by email than by regular mail?
Personally, I don't. I think that people like to have something in their hands that they're going to read. If you give it to them by email, that means they're going to either try to read it online if they bother to do that, or they
Yeah.
have to print it if they bother to do that. If the goal is to get them to read and absorb the information, something in their hand seems to work a lot better.
right, but nowadays we're moving towards an electronic format for pretty much all business type of work. And why are we going to send somebody if we're going to email it to them, why are we going to send them one too? I mean, it's like killing a lot of trees.
No, we do one or the other.
Well, you get a lot
A lot
different.
of work to mail them out. It's so much easier to, like we did last year, we put it into online mooring and I hit a button and boom, we're done. And printing them out and mailing them to everyone is a lot of work.
But you
I
don't
don't think
necessarily
the-
have to mail them out. In other words, if you send some, a stack, like Jesse said, to Tom's, the Dawson's has a stack of them, and people see them and they pick them up and they take them back to their boats at the yacht clubs, the various yacht clubs, the realtors in town, and people really, it's a great way to market the town a little bit, but not by sending them out individually, but just by having them available at places where the public gets them and picks them up, and they will.
Bulk distribution.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not
Right,
a-
I understand that, but I don't understand emailing them and mailing them.
We don't have to
How
do both.
successful do you think our emailing them to people is, Melanie? Do you think
I thought it was
we
very,
reach, do you think we reach everybody? Do you think we reach a half? Do you think we reach a third? How many do you think we reach?
oh, I'd say we reached 3/4. I set it up. I can tell who doesn't get it because it comes, if we have incorrect emails, it comes back and tells me. We had a good turnout last year sending them to people. And nowadays, and plus also my thought process is we're using online mooring. We're trying to get people more and more used to using their computer to converse with us. So that's where my thought process is going for sending them to all the mooring holders and waitlist holders. Printing, if we print and put them at Tom's News, different places that we have in the past, that's one thing. But doing a mass mailing, paper mailing, I don't think that that's.
What if we put a sidebar, bottom bar, or whatever you want to call it, on front page, back page, just not buried in the middle somewhere, that says, want a hard copy of this newsletter? They're available at Don's Dock, Dodson's, Tommy's Newsstand. Send an email and request one.
That doesn't make any sense at all, because all you're doing is telling people that already received it electronically that they don't have to print it out. I don't see any reason to do that.
If people want to print it out,
Let them print it out.
that's their prerogative that's what I do. I print it out and I can't, there's a lot of folks, me included, I like to have paper copies, but sending them out for postage and the printing cost and all of that, I kind of think it's the older school thought process. I think putting them around town is better.
I was going to accuse this town of being, that with it, so.
You're right.
Not sure we should be bucking the trend here, I think.
I hate to tell you, but a lot of our well, you know, Mel, a lot of our mooring holders are old school.
Yes, they are.
I
But
could read
last
you
year
all
I worked hard and didn't give up on them and let them say, oh yes, send it in paper. I, sat with a number of them on the phone and worked through it with them so they're more comfortable this year.
Yeah, I'm a member of different sailing organizations and they go back and forth on this and I pretty much end up back with mailing out paper copies. I think that's the best way to get the widest reading of it.
Not only that, you get the full benefit of the professional work you did putting the newsletter together. Not everybody has color printers. We got the best mailing list in town of people with boats. 600 some odd people on our list in this area. And I think if we've got something to say, we need to go put our best foot forward, and I would mail them the thing if we have to hire somebody to do it. Melanie, I agree. You shouldn't be sitting up there stuffing.
Yeah, I mean, Melanie, it's not
Thank
any more work on us. I mean, the printer does all the work, right? We
But
just send them a file and a list of addresses and they print them and mail them, right?
Yes.
Yeah, we've got to provide them with the mailing list though. Charles, is that something?
No.
That's
Why
something
doesn't
we gotta get.
Online does that.
That's something we got to figure out with online, how to do that with the online mooring. We haven't done that.
Yeah, because they don't do that for us. We have to do it.
They will not print a mailing list. Don't tell me that, because they will.
Should be able to get a report out of their database with in a form of a spreadsheet with the addresses, just like.
Yeah, and then you take it to the printer and he translates that to his mailing list.
That'd be as simple as it was when we had the database.
I can't hear you, Charles.
Yeah, I'm on a different computer. Is this any better?
No.
No.
Okay.
It's not on.
Yeah.
We can't hear you.
Yeah, send me a chat and I'll read it out.
He's on mute. He's on mute.
Well, he got off the
Just
mute.
put
but his
himself on
microphone's not
mute.
working.
Okay.
He sent me a message, his computer's having issues. So it should be as straightforward as it was when he owned the database. Okay, I have to talk to Jen this week anyways, so I'll ask her that question.
Okay, well, we'll pick this up next month. We won't decide tonight.
Okay.
All right. So next on the agenda.
No, I've got a couple things.
We're not done with the newsletter? Okay.
I've done the Yacht Club, the Small Boat Association, Stonington Dinghy Club, and I'm working on the Spotlight. I've got 15 pages of replies to the various people that I sent out regarding the Spotlight. So these two individuals that will remain unnamed at this point, because I think everybody knows who I'm talking about, I really touched a lot of people. And I'd like to make sure I've got at least one good, solid, full page in that newsletter. I don't really want to spill it over into more than that. But
Yeah,
I've
I
got
wouldn't
a number of
suggest that.
photographs.
One page is good.
I'm sorry, Melanie, what did you say?
I said I wouldn't suggest going over one page.
That's what I just said.
Right,
I
I'm
don't want to go
agreeing
over
with
one
you.
page. I've got a number
Agreeing
of
with you.
photographs. Excuse me, go ahead, Melanie. What?
I'm agreeing with you.
Okay. So it's going to be a challenge to give justice to these two folks that have had such a tremendous influence on this harbor and Stonington. Joe, you know what I'm talking about. And so I've got a number of photographs, but I will hopefully get that stuff together within the next month. Like I said, I want to be very respectful to the people. They've had tremendous sailing accomplishments, but what seems to be more important is how they've affected so many people that live in this area. So I'll have a full page at least, no more than that.
Okay,
That's
I
great.
already dedicated a full page to it. If we have to go over, we could make it a centerfold and do that kind of thing.
Well, I'll have you myself hopefully by the end of by the next meeting. So
Okay.
we'll know what we're dealing with.
Okay.
All right. Anything else on newsletter?
Not from me.
Okay, next item is Pawcatuck Point, Aton buoy. And I think we covered most of this in earlier discussion during the budget and the harbor master's report. And Eric already has a action item on this. Bruce has looked into the buoy. So I think we're pretty well set here unless somebody wants to add anything else to it.
Nope.
Okay. So that brings us to the Stonington Harbor Management Ordinance status. So I did, as I said in my action items, I did hear back from Tim Delgado. He recommended our ordinance to the Director of Boating Division. He recommended to him that they support the revised draft ordinance as we proposed. And he agreed, the Director of the Boating Division. So ultimately, he says the decision will be the Deep Commissioners, but Boating Division will support the revised draft ordinance as proposed and will recommend her support provided no changes are made. So there have been no changes made. We got the town attorney to approve it, and it's ready to go to a town vote as soon as the town will have a meeting. So we're waiting, basically now everything's done. We're waiting for the town to have a meeting so we can approve the ordinance. The ordinance voted in.
I guess I'm just still.
Once it is voted in, then we send it back to Deep for their final approval also.
I'm still a little confused by the town meeting portion of it. I mean, the town is doing other business, approving budgets, setting tax rates, all of that kind of stuff.
That happened last spring. That happens at a springtime meeting, May, June type time frame. And they did have emergency powers to do that last year.
Okay.
I noticed they did a town meeting. It looks like
But
Jay.
they have not been able to have a
Oh.
town meeting.
It looked, I read something this past weekend that they had a virtual town meeting
Who did?
on a topic. I don't remember what the topic was,
Oh,
but
those
I thought,
are not, those aren't town meetings to vote on anything though. Those are, they're having
oh, on the sidewalk.
sidewalks. They're doing the
Yeah.
sidewalks. Yes, that's an information session.
Informational.
We did one of those.
Okay,
We did that on the breakwater.
okay.
I mean, ours wasn't virtual, but that's like what we did with the breakwater.
I see.
Yeah, that's an information session just to inform the residents. The problem with the town meeting online is the validating everybody who is on and as town residents. You have to go through a process to do that. It gets very cumbersome trying to do it online. I talked to them about doing a town meeting outdoors potentially. And apparently they thought of that too, but their concerns were the weather and the public notices you have to put out. Makes it hard to change dates or be flexible with the weather. They thought about doing it in the football stands or something like that to get socially distant and make it safe. And then the other, then there's our issues with the high school, whether they would want everybody coming into the high school for the, in the auditorium for a town meeting or not. So there's still several outstanding issues there. We're hopeful we can get a town meeting this spring. That's where that stands. Any other questions on that? So the harbor management plan revision, we're waiting on the ordinance getting passed, and then we'll work on the harbor management plan. All right. So we can't entertain any new business. I had it in the agenda, but we can't entertain any significant new business. If there's other new business, we can put it on the agenda for the next meeting.
Jay?
Yeah, sure.
Is it correct that if we do not have the town meeting, or we don't have the ordinance approved, we cannot proceed with the slow no wake buoys? Is that correct?
That's correct.
So, well, who knows, but
It may raise havoc with our financial plan, that's for sure.
well, I think I think you end up with a lot more money than we thought we would have. It's all speculation, but it does not look all that promising on having COVID cleaned up by the middle of the summer? Or when would be our date when we'd say, it's just too late this year time's run out, we have to wait till next year?
Right. So that'd be good. I mean, maybe we should, let's back up to that. So what do you think our time frame would be? Both I'd like to hear from Bruce and Eric. When if we get an ordinance passed on, say, by I think by the end of April, we'd be okay. If it's, we have, I think the permitting for the buoys is pretty quick, or has already been done. I don't know. And then
No, we can't permit them until we have an ordinance that says we can do it.
So what's our timeline look like? How many days after we get an ordinance passed do we need for permitting, buoy acquisition, and placement?
I think the permitting would be very quick because Mike Payton has already seen the location, is already familiar with the location. I don't even know that he'd need to do another site visit. If he remembers everything that we've talked about in a couple of visits out there, I think the state permit would be fairly quick. My druthers would be to go ahead and order the buoys up and have them ready to go. We've budgeted the money. We should have everything ready to go. We should talk to installers about it and shorten all of our time span right down to as close as we can get it.
When would
That's my
Eric,
opinion.
what's the last time, what's your drop dead date on putting them out? August, September?
I guess my drop dead would be September 1.
So you put them out September 1st and then we'd pull them back in on October the 1st or November the 1st?
November, probably leave them until late November that year. And then that way we can, in the 2022 newsletter, we can say, for those of you that were taking advantage of the best part of the season, you saw our new slow no wake buoys, saw the configuration, and expect to see it again in May.
Okay. So we got a town meeting in June. That would still be
Yeah, I mean that would be optimal.
Okay.
If we could get a town meeting in even right up till late June. If we had everything ready to go.
July 4th weekend.
Well, I mean, we might be pushing our luck for July 4th weekend. I might be able to work a deal with the DEP to, hey, let me put these in place on the spots that they're worded here, and then you come out and inspect that they're on the spot and sign off the permit deal. But that, yeah, I mean,
What do we think about the service? Who should service these, do you think?
I'd like to, if we can, I'm trying to think of the Greenhaven Marine, I think
Yeah.
is the other,
Mechanic Street Marina.
yeah.
That's their name now.
They're the other mooring service provider that we work with on the east side. I think they'd be a good candidate for spreading the wealth. I mean, what we do now is we share them between Don's and Dodson's to share the wealth. Dodson's is really not going to be upset about rounding the point or not rounding the point to install and remove some buoys.
Eric, I talked to Steve Kingsland about that, and he has no problem rounding the point. I had misinterpreted that. I thought he liked to stay more in the harbor, but no, he said they do things. They have moorings over there, and they have things that they've done up the Pawcatuck River, even. So,
Well, I know they have them over there, so, but I didn't think that was his preference.
but maybe a third, provider would make sense. Ian has six buoys, anchor area buoys. Dodson's has five slow no wake buoys, and this would be another 5 slow no wake buoys. Probably give it to another provider might be a good idea.
Yeah, I mean, I think we can justify going to our other known mooring provider in the harbor.
Okay.
Yeah, one quick question. You mentioned have all these things ordered and done. I would hesitate to order buoys and have them delivered until we have an ordinance approved from the town. I wouldn't even.
Well, what's the Bruce? What's the time? How long does it take to get them?
Well, I kind of looked. I tried to look at when I don't think I wrote down when I ordered those 2 anchor area buoys, but I think it might have taken 4 to 6 weeks to get them. I'm not positive. Don't quote me on that. I haven't found any paperwork on that.
We're going to get this ordinance eventually, right? I mean, if it doesn't happen in 2021, yet again,
Well, we don't
the
need to
odds
order
just
them
get
today,
better
but
each year.
Maybe we will. Maybe we can take action in like April or get the buoys ordered. Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I think probably the hardest part is, if we get them and we end up sitting on them for, I mean, worst case, we ended up sitting on them for 8 months or whatever it is. Where do we store them?
Well, if we're going to use Greenhaven as the provider, would they not store them in there?
It's something we could ask.
The other
Right, we
provider,
need to talk to them about doing this. Yep.
Dodson stores the Slow and Awake, and Ian stores the other ones.
I'm just thinking that they're brand new, pristine buoys. Do we want to try and keep them that way in some indoor storage somewhere or something? That's the only downfall I see to ordering ahead of time.
Ian keeps his outside.
He doesn't have room. Well, so does Dodson's. I think if you go look under the viaduct is where you'll find them.
Ah,
Well, it could be that even Gilman can store them temporarily for us.
And
I don't know.
having seen their operation last week, I think if we asked Gilman, they'd end up just sitting out on the loading dock.
Or outside in that back lot.
Right. That one where there's no turnaround.
What
Okay.
if the town doesn't approve the ordinance? I mean, what if a group of people come in and they vote against it year after year after year? You never know. That's my only concern.
I have a large contingent of Sandy Point regulars to call on when the time comes for
Okay.
support in this endeavor.
We did,
Yeah,
we did lose one rather large voice, and that was Roger Colello when he had his heart attack out in Sandy Point. He was one of the ringleaders out there, and he was all in favor of this ordinance.
I have now become friends with the newest ringleader out there.
Okay.
So
that's good. But I've
So,
never
Jay-
heard anybody
I'd like to
really,
ask a question about,
I've never heard anybody speak against this change.
Good.
Jay, can I ask a question about?
Yeah,
the,
go ahead, Jess.
I guess it sounds like the concern is in order to get this ordinance onto a town meeting, they want to have other things on their agenda. Is that correct?
No,
Okay, so why can't we just try to get them to do this as the only thing on their agenda and do it as soon as possible?
the format of the meeting is a problem. The meetings are normally in person, right?
Right.
That's the normal town meeting. Now they do have authority to do a virtual town meeting, but they don't want to do that. Now, if they did it as a single issue virtual town meeting, they probably wouldn't get too many people, and it may be manageable.
Are they aware of our interest in having this on an agenda for a town meeting?
Very much.
Okay,
And they're aware of our time constraint to get it done before the summer season.
so it sounds like we need to pressure them just a little bit more so we can get this done. So it can
I've
be
been
effective
pressuring
in
them
the
the last 3 months. I've been talking to them about this. So
future. Okay, that's about all we can do then.
we've done what we can do. We can you see the first selectman. You can mention it to her that this is really important to us. And
Jay, what if we reached out to that group of Sandy Point voters who are behind us on this and asked them to a letter writing campaign is what comes to mind, but ask them to reach out to the first selectman saying, hey, we understand that this is the holdup and we'd really like to see this move forward. If she sees it coming from a bunch of people other than just the Harbor Management Commission, do you think that might help?
no, I think they want to do it. They want to do it. It's the problem is the
Logistics of it.
The logistics of it. Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
That probably would, I mean, you could do that, but I don't think that'll help particularly. And the more people we have come to the meeting, if we do a virtual one, it's going to be more problematic to be virtual. So I'll talk with them again before next meeting and report back next month, and we'll see what we have to do to move it along. They're going to have to do something for the budget. I'm not sure if they're going to have authority to do a budget without a town meeting next year or not.
Jay, just to interrupt, I ordered those anchor area buoys just after our January meeting. So for those two fifth class CFR anchor area buoys, it took a little less than a month.
Okay. That's good to know. And probably, I would think we could get the ground tackle pretty quickly.
I know a guy works in a place that carries that kind of stuff.
I do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they don't carry the good Domor anchors. They carry the
No, they
We do.
don't.
Chinese pyramid anchors.
We had to go elsewhere. They need to work on that, Bruce.
Depending on size, we've got the little pyramid. We've got pyramids. They're
Yeah.
special ordered, meaning we don't keep them readily available over 200 pounders. But the under 200 pounders, we have ready stock.
The Dormore you don't have though.
The Dormore, we do not have.
Yep.
So it sounds like it's probably about a 2-month lead time from the time we get authorization to proceed before we actually have something in the water. So if our goal is to have something in the water, let's say by June, we need to get some authorization from the town in a town meeting in April, I guess it is.
Mhm.
So,
Right. That's what I've given them as our deadline when we need it by.
okay, good.
Bruce, one thing that might be a good idea for these slow no wakes is just to have call it a shopping list for the hardware. Measuring out the depths and so forth and lengths of chain and shackles and all that stuff, just as a cutting list or a shopping list as and when. I'd be more than happy to help with that in terms of just an assessment and also budgetary.
Sure, sounds like a good idea. I can work on that too. I could approach Steve Kingsland down at Dodson's as to, what he would recommend, what he would need.
In the past, do they just supply the hardware? Is that the way it's been done?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
So if we depart from dealing with them directly in any way, I mean, obviously we can supply, through Defender, we can get our own hardware. I don't know if Steve is where he gets his gear from. I presume it's obviously a commercial account somewhere.
Mhm. Yeah. Well, I don't think that'd be an issue.
Yeah. But just in terms of an assessment, knowing X amount of chain cut to length, X amount of shackles, so forth and so on, that would probably be worth a good thing to have just to keep things moving.
Okay, I could work on that.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Anything else? Not, I get a motion to adjourn.
I so move.
Thank you, Jess.
Second.
All right.
Okay,
Melanie?
I'm good.
Okay, so all those in favor?
Bye.
All right, thank you, everybody.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.